Hello and welcome to Retro Reviews, my channel where I review my favorite retro video games of all time as well as some modern releases I have recently finished. But today I want to do a top 10 that is actually something that my wife suggested and I thought would be really fun to do. This is 10 things that my non-gamer wife is absolutely baffled by that I do specifically. A couple of these will be more like mainstream for sure, but I would love to see which one of these things you also do. So I'm excited to see in the comments if you identify with any of these things from this list. So first and foremost, cases. My wife hates video game cases and like boxes and stuff, and so it always baffles her that I would like buy a physical edition of a game, or I'd keep the boxes and not just have like a little CD case for all my games. She just doesn't like the extra clutter and stuff, so she can't understand like why I collect all of the games I have and I keep every single thing. And so that's something that, and the cases had to be in pristine condition as well. I've actually had points where I got like Luigi's Mansion 3 for a holiday, and the case had an imperfection. It had like a little divot in the front, and I hated it so much I found a secondhand case only and got that and then just got rid of the other case. Oh my goodness. And I've had other times where I've had games like from GameStop where you get like the secondhand case that they just came with the disc. They give you just a burner case. I would go online and find the case for it. I finally got like the original Pikmin case from when I bought a copy way back in the day. I did the same thing with Conquer Live and Reloaded. I have done it with so many games just to complete my collection. I love cases and boxes, and that's something that always baffles her. With an extension for this is keeping, this is a little bit different because keeping game cases I think is more common, but I also like to keep my console boxes and my controller boxes, and I really couldn't tell you why. There's no great reason. For me, it's partly that I know that I moved recently and I know I'm going to be moving again in the near future, so it's like keeping the boxes makes sense for me because then I can shove stuff in there. I don't have to worry about packing it in something else. So for me, that's kind of the reason, but I've always just also kept my console boxes, and I can't really tell you why. I have a drawer full of my controller boxes as well. It's just something that I do. I would love to know if you do that as well, but my wife, she just doesn't understand that at all, and honestly, I don't fully understand it myself, so here we go. Next is controllers themselves. I keep my controllers very pristine. I don't like them getting scratches or any kind of imperfections. My kids grab them. I make sure they handle them very carefully. I like to set them down the right way. I don't like them upside down. I'm very particular about my controllers. I don't like when there's a scuff or there's any kind of markings, and if people are manhandling my controllers, it makes me a little nervous. So I get really particular about my controllers, and over the years my wife has seen me like calm down with my controllers, but especially way back in the day when I was like newly an adult, I was very picky about my controllers. Now I'm a little bit less so, but even with my like Xbox that I just got recently, I like cleaned every facet of the controller to make it really nice and pristine. Same thing with the console itself. I like the consoles to be really nice and good looking, and I don't like people touching them. I like to be me being the one that handles stuff. So I'm really picky in that regard. Another thing that I'm really picky with is the way you handle games, discs, and cartridges. Discs especially. Whenever I see someone grab a disc and put their fingerprints on either side, I'm like, no, just grab the edges of it. That's why you can pop it and grab the sides. It always drives me crazy. I am absolutely like a neat freak when it comes to discs. Same thing with cartridges too. I'm like, don't touch the pins, touch everything but that. Don't touch if you've got like an N64 cartridge or a Super Nintendo cartridge, don't touch the board on the inside, just touch the case itself. Drives me absolutely insane. If we get like a video from the library, my kid will open it up and grab the disc. I'm like, no, don't touch the disc. And I know it's not mine, but you touch the outsides only. Very picky when it comes to discs and cartridges as well, the way you handle them. Next thing is going to be completionist. I am very much completionist mindset whenever I get into games. I struggle a lot with not going for platinum trophies or not going for like everything there is to experience. So even if it's a big open world game, I'm like, I think I might have to try and beat this one 100%. It's like a giant RPG that you have to play through 6 times to get all the endings and everything. I just struggle not doing the completionist thing. So I have to consciously decide when I'm playing a game if I'm going to go for full completion at the beginning or if I'm just going to try and ride out the main story and have as much fun as I can. I struggle with that for a very long time. I'm getting to the point where I'm better, where I don't have to complete everything, but there are so many times where I just have to decide, like, am I going to fully complete this game, or am I going to just have fun, just play the storyline, and not focus on everything else and just do the main thing. With Sunset Overdrive, I just started playing it. Fantastic so far. I'm like, man, am I going to try and go for all these challenges or not? It's just one of those things that always enters my brain when I start a new game. Next is going to be a backlog. I think everyone can relate with this. Any gamer can. I have a huge backlog of games from a bunch of consoles that I haven't played every game on every console I've owned. I don't think I've played through every single game on a single console I've ever owned before. Maybe played them, but never finished every single game. I'm getting much better at it now. Now that I just have, I live in like, I live in a place where I don't have a lot of space, so I don't have all of my consoles here. I have a bunch of them in storage back with my family. So I'm like just curating the ones I'm using right now. So I have my Switch, I've got my PlayStation, now my Xbox, I've got my Vita and my 3DS that I was finishing a couple games on. So I'm trying to just beat the games I have that are current. And then when I want to go back and complete a retro game, I can just go and boot that up or load up my emulated file. And so I try and get through my current backlog for my current generation games or just barely back a generation. I'm doing a great job. I've mostly completed every game that I want to complete on those consoles. The games I don't, I'm actually getting rid of. I usually keep all of my games no matter what, but I actually have been okay at getting rid of a few every now and again. So I'm actually doing much better at that. But I know most people, especially if you have like a Steam library, Epic Games, you have a huge backlog of games that you're probably never going to touch, let's be honest. You find a good deal, you buy a few games, and then you never touch them ever, or you play them once and then they sit there forever. So huge backlogs, I think, is something that most gamers understand. My wife absolutely cannot understand why I would buy more games when I already have 1,000 games to play. It's just enticed by the new shiny thing. That's all it is. So next is going to be, oh yes, absolutely, the pristine setup, the pristine gaming setup. Like I said earlier, I clean my consoles, I make them look so nice. And I've seen this with especially with streamers. I'm not especially like this, but sometimes I will be, where the room around me can be really messy, but I make sure my setup is so clean and I'm playing my game on my nice clean controller, and I make sure the setup looks absolutely gorgeous, but I don't care about the cleanliness of the room. I've seen some streamers like this where like they snap a picture or they show you their room and it's an absolute pigsty, but their setup is so nice and neat and pristine. I think that's so funny. We put so much value in our games and everything, but then don't care about the room around us. I think that's a funny gamer trope for sure. Next is going to be, let's see, rebuying games. Playing the same game on different generations of consoles or different consoles. I have repurchased Resident Evil 4, just like the original one, so many times. I have it on the GameCube, I have it on the Wii, I have it on the PlayStation 4. I mean, I bought the remake, that's kind of a different thing, that's a new game entirely, but I had the PS2 version at one point. Like, I have played this game on so many consoles. I played it on the phone even. That like it's funny, especially to someone like my wife who doesn't game. She's like, why don't you just play the copy you have? And I'm like, well, I want to play it again on a new shiny console. I play it a little bit differently. Like the Wii version has motion controls. I can't help myself. It's a game I really love. I will just keep buying copies of it, new versions. I bought Wind Waker HD on the Wii U, and even though I already had the GameCube version, it's just I have to replay these games over and over again. Same thing with remasters. I get excited about them. I don't care that I have Mario Thousand Year Door readily accessible and ready to play. I'm buying the remaster. That's just how I have to be. The next thing is going to be physical editions of games instead of buying a digital version, especially if the digital version is cheaper. My wife can't understand buying physical copies in the first place, but then like waiting for a game that she knows I want to play, like Baldur's Gate 3. Like, why don't you just buy it? You really want to play it. You talk about it all the time. Just buy it and play it so I don't have to hear about it all the time. And I'm like, no, I gotta hold out for that physical edition. And then like she's been like listening to me talk about how the delays with Baldur's Gate 3 for months now, and she's like, I'm tempted to just get a video of you ranting about this just so you have some footage of you ranting about this thing. And so I will wait to the nail, holding on to hope that I can get a physical edition of a copy, of that limited run games will run it. Like, I absolutely love physical games, and the digital versions are usually cheaper, especially for the limited run ones. But I hold out for those because I just love having a good collection that I can keep, that I have it physically. It's just nice for me to look at. And the last one that she thinks is absolutely hilarious is me watching people play games, especially games that I like or that I want to play. She's like, why don't you just play it? Like Smash. I watch a lot of competitive Smash. Why aren't you just playing Smash, practicing, going to tournaments? I'm like, I don't know. I just like watching the professionals play. Or if it's just like a casual game, like, why are you watching someone play that? Why don't you go play it yourself? And I'm like, it's entertaining to watch people play, especially if it's like a rage-inducing game. I don't know. She can't understand that one. I think it makes a lot of sense to watch people play games. A lot of times I'll watch people play something and be like, oh, I want to get into that now because I've seen you play. I can see what the game is all about. And I can see, like, not from a reviewer standpoint, but from just some person who likes playing games and streams on Twitch or YouTube. I think that's really, really fun. Watching people come up with good content ideas around games. Like, there's a lot of fun content things you can do with Smash, with mods, with just challenges and such. So she can't understand that, but I think it's perfectly plausible. But what are some other gaming habits that you have that might baffle your non-gamer friends or family or your spouse or anything like that? I would love to know in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of my list as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.